Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Racers Driving League for Season 18, Round 20 of the Championship. Welcome to the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez for the Mexican Grand Prix. And it's a sodden circuit, perhaps the wettest we've seen it all season. And yet, only as it is. I think it looks a lot wetter than it actually is on the circuit. But the first few cars are making their way out now for qualifying. Of course, this being the fifth of our 6 100% events in this season. So 71 laps awaiting these guys tonight. But of course, first of all, short quali. Just get everyone underway. So a short 18-minute session, and from there we'll take it the full 71-lap Grand Prix distance all the way to checker flag. And of course, potentially the championship could be decided tonight. Che, I believe, needs to outscore Grimir by 13 in order to keep the championship going to the next round, which will be in Las Vegas. But if Grimir obviously wins the race or outscores Che tonight, then he will be champion for the 9th time in the history of the Racers Driving League. So there's a lot on the line over the course the next 2.5 hours or so of racing. It should be very enjoyable indeed. So keep an eye out here. 19 cars currently on the circuit. of course, have one or two reserves in the order list tonight. The main one being, I think the only one, sorry, being a HB Cook, who is currently reserving for Imri, who received a race ban after accruing 12 penalty points over the course of the season. So he'll be out for this week's race. Hopefully we'll see him back in Vegas next week. Red J, the first car across the line, start the first flying lap. It's a long run down towards that first corner, the longest run of the season. Of course, normally a DRS zone in play from the start line all the way down towards turn 1, but not in this case, so obviously the wet weather will impact that. So 200 miles an hour, he maxed out going towards this first corner into the braking zone, obviously braking earlier due to the wet conditions. And through the opening chicane here for turns 1, 2 and 3. Of course, I think back to the iconic moment in 2016, Hamilton cutting across the grass in the opening 3 corners to hold the lead after contact lead from the first lap. If my memory serves me right, about 9 years ago. Into the second sector though, through turns 4 and 5 for Red J, keeping things nice and steady here. Through turn 6, one of the Red Bulls there was sitting stationary at corner exit. Allowing through without too much issue. And Grumio, I think Grumio or Lando, one of the two, is in right behind Red J right now. Of course, Grumio won this race last season. Red J now going making his way through turns 10 and 11. And towards what will be the third DRS zone on race day. And now into the iconic stadium section through to turn 12. Of course, turns 13, 14, 15, all sort of one complex here. Grandstands in full swing as they make their way through the last couple of corners here towards turn 16. And of course, the sweeping right-hander of turn 17 to cap the lap off. Bit of a slide there on corner exit. Red J keeps the car on the wraps and towards the line the first time on the board, 128.3. And the RB coming through is... Not sure who, I'm not too sure. It's Landau coming through first. I think Grumio's had a problem in his first lap. Grumio's invalidated his first run, so that could be a concern for the potential champion to be. Che is back on the grids, has a chance to try and stop Grumio from capturing the title today. Of course, he's got very little chance left at the championship, so let's keep an eye out for his race tonight. As AT goes fast, it's 127.2 on the board, so a second faster than the Mercedes. And there goes Dan, last week's winner, fastest again, 125.2. Of course, took pole and the win, but not after a very, very healthy challenge from PJ Khaled, who sits just a few cars in front of Dan right now in terms of the qualifying train. So 4 cars with sit times. Che now fastest, so Che putting down his early marker, throwing the gauntlet down with a 124.6. We'll see how the RBs can match that. Landlord making his way through turns 10 and 11. And towards the second split here, Websy second, Landor 1 minute 3.3 as he comes towards the stadium once again. Where is Grumio? Grumio is out at the exit of turn 6 going towards 7. But as for Landor, he's coming through to complete his first time. On his second lap, so validated the first time round. But can he keep the car under control this time? He can do. And up towards the line to be a 125.3. So 125.3 for Landor puts in P4. So behind Websy and the 2 Ferraris. 10th Cannon P5, of course, nabbed her first RDL podium as a reserve here in last season's Mexican Grand Prix. Of course, sits in 7th place in the Drivers' Championship, the most recent driver to cross that 100-point mark. Cott sits just 2 points behind, so it's very close in the race for 8th place. Of course, Cott in the fight for Williams tonight. The 2 Williams teammates there. One after the other. Grumio goes second fastest, 124.7. So only just behind Che right now. Of course, gone long gone are the times where the short qualifying was a regular occurrence. Now it's the opposite. As EJ goes up to P6 there, good qualifying start from the Aston Martin driver. Matthew 8th place, 10th invalidating there. Going towards the line, Cock coming through, P5 on the grid. About a 10th of his teammates, so not a lot of difference there. Obviously, intermediates can go for a bit longer run on a qualifying effort rather. 15 cars now set times, waiting now on Ethan, Cotney, JB and PJ. Let's say PJ challenging for the race victory and led a good chunk of last week's race before being overhauled by Dan in the closing stages. 1 minute 4.1 on the board for him in sector 2. One more intermediate to go here. So JB got to P10 there on your timing screen on the left. Yellow flag in behind. It's one of the Ferraris slowing here. All recovered nice and easy. PJ towards the line. It's P11 for PJ. So not fantastic. Of course, PJ 82 points, 9th place in the championship, 20 points clear of his closest challenger, JB. But JB sits 1 spot up on PJ in the current qualifying order as of right now. But 10 minutes to go, so still plenty of time for change. Shea faster again. 123.937, so putting about 8/10 here on Grumio. Yellow flag, and that is off one of the Red Bulls slow. That will be 10th Cannon, who's invalidated once again. Like whether we may see 10th come in this time, make a change for tyres. Might go out later on the lap in the session. And whether or not we'll see this rain dry up. In terms of what the race will look like, we're not too sure here. Obviously, we'll get any information we can from drivers. And truthfully, the rain definitely doesn't look as heavy as it did earlier on in the pit lane. This looks a lot heavier. But on the circuit, it doesn't look too bad. Red J improved by almost a full second in the second sector. Up towards the line, P15 for Red J as he improves over 80 in Obsessed. Ethan through for his first lap on his set tyres. Of course, Kick Sauber in their second season in the RDL competition in terms of the constructor standings. Now sitting very pretty in this sort of 3-team race, perhaps even a 4-team race if Aston Martin's pace continues on. So those guys currently sitting, thanks to PJ Ethan's efforts last week, those guys sitting in the Catbird seat, 5th place now in the standings. Red Bull just 2 points back in 6th, and then in 7th position we've got Alpine. Those guys 9 points off the pace. I'm sure I'm dropping frames here, not sure what's going on. Grumio there, now topping the times. 123.7 on the board for him. It's 8 minutes to go in qualifying. In terms of any surprises in the top 10 as of right now, nothing. Everything seems all routine for the minute. Alvar joins the session here, so to the one car we were missing, so now both McLarens are here in the running order. Ben P11 right now. McLaren currently sitting in P9 in the Constructors' Championship. Yes, going through there. That will be EJ. EJ sits in 7th place in the order right now, doing a fantastic job for Aston, as it stands. Into the last few corners now, up towards the line. Oh, no, EJ's pitting, never mind. Oh, okay, that's a bit of a... Well, there we go. EJ now in the pits. He's bringing his first run to an end. Cannon currently P5. Curtis in P7 did a remarkable job for Alpine as it stands. Matthew in P9. I think wasn't feeling the most confident, truthfully, going into this session. Expects himself sort of around P10, P15. The spots you normally look at for a Q2 elimination. And Dan in P10, so one of the heights of last week, not doing a brilliant job, I think, by his standards. Of course, still sits in 3rd place in the Drivers' Championship. Imri his main aim was hunting him down over the course of the season. But obviously with that race ban, it could be crucial for the Haas driver as time is obviously running out as we get towards the closing stage of this campaign. Of course, the end of it, of the game cycle for F1 24. Dan runs off circuit there. So work to be done, I think, those guys in the race. But Che, of course, up the order. And we're nearing the end now of this session. AT has been on the same set of tyres literally the entire session here. And I'm wondering how much good it's actually doing him. Whether he'll come in and change perhaps for another set, not too sure. Now coming through the last sector. So nearing here the end of this qualifying session, of course, leading into the full Grand Prix. 5 minutes to go. It's Dan now fastest on that fresh set of tyres. And whether we'll see a few more cars kind of trying to match him, we'll have to see. So Channel's that lap. Matthew now P3. So a number of cars moving up the order. You can see Dan is coming through to the line, not improving this time round. The last corner up towards the line. I think going for one more run here if you can. One of the Mercedes cars coming through. I think that's Red J. It is. Red J P18 right now. A lot of work to do. Reggie nearing the end of the first sector now. Is he improving? Improving by about half a second here. So Reggie moving back up. And Websy fastest. 1-3-3-1 from Websy. Getting back on the board here, so up the order now. And the track is definitely starting to dry out. So a dry line forming. Does anyone take that risk to go on to perhaps another set of tyres for one last dash and try and get themselves higher up the grid as Dan comes towards the line? He improved massively, 1:22.1. And this could be where the lap times start to drop like flies. Grimio improving by 0.3 into the first sector. So Grimio coming through here. It's currently in all Ferrari front row. But Grimio might be set to change that up towards the line. 1:21.8 for Grimio over the line. So big improvements here. Minute and a half to go. Who is next? EJ coming through. Is anyone looking at a set of dry tyres? No one's taken that risk just yet. I don't think, truthfully, I don't think anyone will. Connection seems all good again, so we're good to go for the remainder of qualifying here. Apologies for any technical difficulties. hopefully should be good for the remainder of the run here. And we get a nice clean end to qualifying and seeing how everyone stacks up. Next car through to line is one of the Williams cars, I believe. That's Websy. Websy starts his last lap. One of the McLarens in behind. That will be Ben. Alvarez on his out lap. He's currently down in the second sector, going through turn 5. Has he got enough time to actually make it round? He's got 45 seconds. I think he should have just enough room. But there's not long to go. Will he make it? Gremio down, obviously, but not on a fresh lap this time round. Dan is on his way through turn 3. Check turn 1. Landlord coming through. Webbs is invalidated here, so likely P5 would be his best bet, which is a poor place to be in, given that the track is getting drier and drier and drier. The last 10 seconds, I think Alvar will just make it round. He will just make it round. So everyone on the racetrack on the lap here. One of the Sabbers is your problem. That's PJ, who man had it off at turn 4. Checking flags now up. Curtis and HP could go over the line. P6 and P9 for those two drivers. Ben is in the last sector now. He's the first car to come back through. A yellow flag, one of the Ferraris. That's Dan has had some kind of spin. That'll jeopardise his last lap. P2 from a best. I think his chance of pole is gone. Ben towards the line, crashes the car over the line, goes P7. Next car through, one of the Red Bulls. That will be Courtney Goblin for P16. In behind one of the Williams cars. That's Websy. Websy in the pit lane, ending his run. Obsessed Gamer shoots up to... Sorry, was that Obsessed Gamer? Shot up to P10? Not entirely sure. Red J didn't improve. One of the Ferraris towards the line now. Shea retires. Dan goes second. And I think Grumman might actually have this. And that's Landlord's getting to save out in the last corner. Landlord only goes 4th fastest, so not enough for improvement there. Majority of cars now across the line. And Grumio improving by a little bit. And as he rounds the last corner to take what will likely be pole. Pole confirmed. Grumio fastest. 1:21.8, the final pole time. And Grumio on the day where he can potentially win a 9th Races Driving League Championship. He will score his 12th pole of the season. And will lead the field to turn 1 with Dan, Che, Landlord and Cott, the top 5. Last car, everyone's across the line now, waiting for Obsessed to pit. And that'll do it for this qualifying run. So we'll have one last look at the top 10 before we get into the starting order in terms of the actual on the formation lap for the Grand Prix itself. But Grumio is fastest, followed by Dan, Che, Landlord and Cott, top 5. And it's 10th and 6th, Websy 7th, Matthew 8th, and the two Aston Martins of AT and EJ rounding them out. So that's your top half, that's your top half of the order. I'll be back with you in a few minutes' time to start the race. So here we go then, the formation about to get underway for the Mexican Grand Prix, round 20 of season 18 of the Races Driving League. There is the circuit. 17 corners, one of the most enjoyable circuits on the calendar, I'd say. It's a shame that it doesn't get updated too often when the cycle comes around, but hopefully we'll get an update to it in the next couple of years, or hopefully next year for F1 26. You never know. Gaming James Ferry, the previous winner of this Grand Prix, in the end. I remember last season, 10th Cannon nabbed her first RDL podium as a reserve in that race, so whether she goes back to back, we'll have to wait and see. But of course, a much longer Grand Prix and the prospect potentially of Grumio clinching the title. Grumio needs to be 104 points in front at the end of this Grand Prix in order to avoid the championship going to Las Vegas next week. So Che needs to outscore Grumio by 13 points. So if Che wins the race and Grumio finishes inside of the top 3 with him, then Grumio is champion. And obviously we'll keep an eye on the maths throughout the evening. I'll do my best to calculate the scores on the doors, and from there we'll see at the end of the night if Grumio has indeed done enough to win a 9th RDL championship. We are now just waiting for the formation up to get things underway. And hopefully we're in for a fantastic race. 71 laps. It's going to be a endurance race, this one, compared to the usual 50% length. Of course, I had 4 of these races so far this season. To my knowledge, they've all been won by Grumio. He won in Japan, came back to win in Monaco after Pope's misfortune with his wheel. Won Silverstone, had a late safety car, almost jeopardised him, but came back to win. And obviously dominated Monza. So all 4 of these races have gone to him so far. Whether we see him win a 5th one, we'll have to wait and see. The closest driver who's had a chance of beating him is Che, who lost by about half a tenth or so in Japan. But in terms of who took the speed today, it could be anyone. It's our first real laps on dry tyres in this Grand Prix weekend. So going on to the formation up now, it's all mediums and hards. Only 3 hard tyres starting in the entire field. So starting them from the back row, it is Cotley Goblin lines up P20 for Red Bull. Alongside it's Red J, both of them on medium tyres. PJ Keller, of course, came close to winning last week's race in Kota. Lines up 18th on the mediums. And Alvar joined us mid-session, starts on the hards for this Grand Prix. Looking to try and close on PJ's teammate Ethan in the standings. Ethan starts 1 place in front in P16. And it's Hayes Cook reserving tonight. The only reserve on the grid in place of Imrie, who received a race ban after getting 12 penalty points after the United States Grand Prix last week. Obsessed lines up in P13, looking to try and score some more points. He's got 10 to his name this season. JB lines up P13, looking to maintain his spot in P10 of the championship. AT sits just 13 points behind him now. Ben lines up P12, tied with EJ on 14 points so far this season. Curtis in P11, 7 points back from AT in 12th place in the championship. EJ lines up P10. Oh, I had a spinner. EJ's going around. That is poor turn for me to be giving him his name, but he's spun the car out at the exit at turn 5, but he's recovered it nice and easy, so we'll obviously still start the race without any issue. AT lines up P9s. The Astons share the 5th row as they look to try and close in that trio, Sauber, Red Bull and Alpine in the order. Matthew lines up P8, Webbsy in P7, the 3rd hard tyre starter. 10th in P6, looking to go back-to-back podiums, this time as a full-time driver. Cott lines up 5th, still hunting his first win of the season. Landlord in 4th, Che in 3rd, needs to outscore Grumio by 13 points to keep the championship on. Dan at last week's winner lines up 2nd, and Grumio, who is potentially could be 71 laps away from a championship, lines up here in P1. Of course, Grumio has won back-to-back titles before. He won his first 4 on the spin. He then won season 13. From there, won season 16, 17. Sorry, 15, 16. I'm losing my numbers. The point is, he's won 8 championships. He's on course for a 9th if no one can stop him, as Cotley Goblin takes his place, and I'll get those stats right later on. Here come the lights, though. About to get this one underway. The Mexican Grand Prix, round 20 of the season, and our 5th full-length Grand Prix. It's lights our foot to the floor. Go, go, go. We are racing here in Mexico. Good start from Grumio, covering off Dan completely. Dan falls into line, going on a very long run towards this first corner. Landau from P4, springing past Che. Che might have damage there. There might be contact between the Ferrari and the RB. Not too sure there, but Landau trying the outside. Could be 3 wide into turn 1. Grumio leads away. No contact further back. Everyone keeping it nice and clean here in the opening corner. Grumio leads from Dan, Landlord and Che. Contact. I saw someone's end plate go off there. Not quite sure whose. down towards turn 4 then. Grumio leading Landlord, but being challenged by down the outside into turn number 4. It's very tight here. Everyone all bunched up together. Grumio's keeping these guys all at bay as Matthew slides a little bit out of turn 5 through turn 6 now. Dan still side by side with Landlord here. One of these guys got to lift, taking second place. No one's going to lift here early on. Close to contact. They might be in contact. Dan falls away. Landlord now second, and Grumio takes P1. So Grumio then early on with 70 laps to go finds himself in an early championship winning position here. A lot of work to do. So come off the last corner then to complete the first lap of this race. DRS in play as well. Grumio leads lap 1. DRS not in play until the exit of turn 3, but Slipstream is still very much alive here. Dan might put Landon on the pressure towards this first corner. Everyone keeping it nice and steady right now. Seeing some moves and checkers in the back as they see Ben and Curtis go side by side into turn 1. Curtis will take P8 in this occasion, contact, and Ben off onto the grass for a second. They will try and come back at Curtis with DRS. Oh, no DRS as of yet. I suppose no detection point, sorry, I suppose up until midway through after turns 7 and 8. As Ben fights back against Curtis on the outside here through turn 5. Ben will almost clear him, but Curtis still fighting, and they had the advantageous line on the inside, but Ben clears him on corner exit and puts their McLaren into 8th place. Further back here, everyone nice and clean single file as of right now. Reggie looking around, trying to find a way around Alvar, can't quite do it. Oh! And Ethan went sliding for a second there, that was very close. Grumio leads the way then, Landlord second. Dan on his tail there, and they'll most definitely be DRS this time around. Into the last corner to start lap 3 of this race. Return telemetry as DRS gets deployed for the first time by Landlord, but Dan and Che have it too. Grumio fastest lap, 118.6. See Websy challenging for P4 there into turn 1, around the outside, looking for the place. And sliding in. Caught making the move on Che on corner exit. Oh, massive jump there. Grumio still leads Landlord and Dan. You see Dan trying to find an opportunity, but can't find anything as of yet. Grumio keeping things under control here. Obsessed gets a time penalty there, 3 seconds, first of the evening. And with a long race in prospect, there could be plenty of those over the course of this one. There's a lot of places in terms of track runners where Mexico can catch you out. Top 4 running this train here. It's early in the race, but Che knows what he needs to do. He knows where he needs to be in order to try and keep this championship rolling. Webbsy on those hard tyres doing a remarkable job there in P6. And everyone keeping it under control. No incidents as of right now. I was confident I saw damage in the first lap, but no one has taken it yet. JB though has taken a 3-second penalty himself. Multiple warnings. Does Landlord get a run at all on Grumio going towards turn 1 as Che now fastest lap for himself? Dan closing on Landlord. Good run there to the inside of the racetrack going into that first right-hander. And Dan may well take second. He's side by side with Landlord. May clear him through turn 2. Finishes his job in turn 3. Move down to P2 and he'll start to work on Grumio for the race lead. Does Chaos try and come at Landlord too? That's all over the shop here to make their way into turn 4. Matthew, the last car in the lead train, is Curtis in P8 and Ben P9. There goes 10th, being challenged by AT. AT will take the place away. We'll hold on to that. Still rather will hold on to that place for now. It's a bit deep there off the circuit. Again, recovers it. Further back here. Everyone's still single file. On to lap 5 here. Does Dan take his first real chance taking a bite out of Grumio for this race leading towards the first corner? He's closing in. So Grumio using overtake, keeping that gap nice and steady here. As Che challenging Landlord to the outside now, going towards that first corner into turn 1. And a pair of them running side by side here on corner exit. Che's in front. No DRS from him, though. Landlord comes fighting back. And takes the place, and there goes a number of cars pushing past Che. Che now is in 5th place, so Cots finds his way past 2. So what was 3rd place for Che? Now a double whammy for the Ferrari driver. He now sits in 5th. Cot now 4th. Landlord still 3rd. And this allows Dan and Grumio to get away a bit more. Obsessed currently the last points paying place. Counter back to 13th here. Matthew in P7 as of right now. Still holding on to things. The end of that train, but that train's broken a little bit here. Che now a second and a half back from Cot in 4th. It may start a move on Landor for 3rd here with DRS in play. Going towards this first corner. Outside of the racetrack, does he clear him? It's side by side, very tight between them. He'll get DRS again on corner exit. AT passing Ben now. These guys all over the shop here. His 10th is dropping back. 10th now, P17. Has some in trouble here. Not quite sure what's up with that Red Bull. Courtney Goblin P15. Now the lead Red Bull in this race. And JB holding that entire train at bay here as they make their way out of turn 6 and towards 7. On to like 7. Grumio now gapping down by a second here. And obviously, the top 5 splits up a fair bit now. The closest drivers together, but it's still Cot and Landor. Cot's now in P3. Landor will be looking for that place back out of turn 3 towards 4. Just keeping the train at bay. I'm not sure if I just caught up with what's going on. Oh! And we are all over the shop here. Okay, I've got no clue what's happening right now. Landor's now in the lead. Grumio second. What is going on? We are all over the place here. And I'm assuming that Grumio is still in front because everyone's just sort of swapped around a fair bit. Ken's now back in P10. Landor down in front. No idea what's going on here. Everyone's got DRS here. I'm assuming Landor is in the lead for now. Stan now challenging towards There goes Che! Blasting around the outside. Might take 2 cars in one corner here. And as the absurdity continues here out of turn number 3, Landor is the de facto leader in this race. What is happening? Che tries the outside on his teammate. The 2 Ferrari drivers going side by side here. And it looks as though normal service has been restored. So I'm not quite sure how much we lost there in the last couple of laps. And I think the EA servers are having a wobble of some kind. But Landor does it to the leader. So they're in formation right now. The Red Bulls, Ferrari, the RB, sorry, the Ferraris and the Williams. Haas, the last car on that train. Curtis in P8, it's about 3.5 seconds back from those guys. Ben in P9 and 10th, rounding out the top half. Back towards Timon we go. On to lap 9 of this thing, and Che passing Dan as Grumio takes the lead back from Landau into the first corner. And Che may go for a run here on Landau, going towards turn number 4. Try on the outside. Making that move stick. Can he do it through the corner? EJ penalty. And Che now in second place. But of course, he knows that there needs to be more done than this. He needs Grumio preferably outside of the top 3. Of course, if Grumio finishes on the podium, then that guarantees him the title today. So, theoretically, doesn't actually need to win the race. Che fastest lap, so we're getting back to action here between the two main title protagonists from this season. Down towards turn 1. What does Che have his sleeve? Che making the pass. Easy move made with DRS to his advantage, and Che will take the lead going into this first corner. So Ferrari leading, I think, for the first time today. Has Grumio turned off it? No, he hasn't. There we go. Oh. We are all over the shop here. Che, despite what looks to be 2 spins, is actually holding on to his lead. On to lap 11 then. Che now in the lead, but can Grumio fight back going towards his first corner? Look at the speed he picks up down this main straight into the first corner. Grumio takes the lead back nice and easy as Matthew looking for a challenge on Websy to the inside towards this first corner. Can Matthew break the train? Can't do it. Bit of contact made there. And Matthew now finds himself a bit further back from the train here. Potential was that DRS range. Got to go himself back into it by the time they reach the exit of turn 9. He's sort of on the mark as of right now. Sort of back and forth as it stands. For the back here, Ben to try and challenge AT. Obsessed intent. There goes Ben to the inside. Good pass made there from the McLaren. And very much on the limit as he moves himself into 10th place. Because both cars have time penalties here, both Ben and Obsessed. So AT in a position to gain. As AT tries the outside on both of them into the right hander. It's close to contact, but both cars keeping it under control. Obsessed getting very racy there right behind the McLaren, but AT in the Aston Martin takes P10. 10th is in P9, just currently chasing down Curtis, half a second separating those two. And from there's a gap to the front running cars. Matthew now a second and a half behind Webbs, who's out of DRS range here into this first corner. Dan and Cott going at it for 4th place. Grumio still leads Che. Che impressively needs Grumio out of this race in order to stand a chance really at the championship going forward. Because obviously if Grumio wins, no matter where Che finishes, that means that the championship is over. These two side by side again, Cott and Dan. We saw Dan the first lap seed this fight into turn 7 to Landlord on the opening lap for P2. This time Cott backs out and Dan can get the feeling of winning a fight going into that left-hander. DRS again. Che closing the gap a little bit here. I'm going to slide up a little bit there, making his way through. JB penalty. I think that's his second in the evening. Yes, it is. 3 seconds for JB. As it's sorry, 6 seconds. So that's 2 threes. And Websy takes 1 too. So the first car in that lead train to take a penalty. And the last car running in the train, unless we're still counting Matthews, 1.7 back. We're still on a lot of his own right now. As Curtis sits about 3.5 back in P8. 10th made challenge for P8 going towards turn 1. Good run from the Red Bulls. Che takes the lead up front. Those two going side by side, I think, for position number 1. Romeo takes it back. The 10th makes the pass into turn 1. Ben might dive here, looking for place off of AT. Close to contact. There goes Ben. Sliding off the circuit and down to P16 here. And cutting the bit of turn 3 for rejoining in P17. Behind EJ there. Reggie Navar by himself, P19, P20 struggling right now. Premier than half a second clear of Dan now in second place. Must make that pass. I think Che must have got the worst of that scrap going towards turn 1 in the last lap. We'll see how other Ferraris respond here. We'll see if Landau can get himself involved in this fray. Cotton Websy. Matthews still not closing in. 10th hold on to P8 as Che makes the pass on Dan going towards that first corner. Can't take on his championship rival just yet. So Premier maintains his lead, but can Che come back at him? Down towards turn 4 again. Che getting a run, but not enough right now. Neither car using ERS. I think everyone's got it all more or less themselves right now. As Websy trying a late dive on his teammate going into turn 4. Perhaps it's something an unnecessary move here to cost him a fair bit, cost him a chunk of time. But Websy on the hard tyres here. One of only 3 hard tyre starters in this Grand Prix, so we'll see him go longer on the first stint. I have to assume so. Obviously, should we see a safety car, that might shake things up a bit. But we are nearing the point, I imagine, now where the medium runners will look for their first pit stops of the race. We'll see how much longer they can take those things. And of course, the time management will be crucial over the course of this much longer race. Off the last corner then, Grumio and Che are opening a gap here. Dan gets DRS, but only just. And Landau right behind him, as is Websy. Matthew 2 seconds back now. It gets underway here. Che takes the lead into the first corner. Landlord over Dan now. There goes Cott to the inside. Takes 1 place. Can he take 2? EJ passing Ben further back. EJ currently 17th place now. Someone sliding a bit there. Of course, both these two have had offs at some point during the race. Of course, EJ had his on the formation lap. Ben had his just 2 laps ago at turn 1. He's going to continue on meanwhile in mid-pack. Curtis now back around 10th. Obsessed holding on to that last place. Look at the train he's carrying here. Then try to go from P10 to P16 here as Ethan currently runs in the back. PJ penalty there. Oh, but Obsessed wide off the circuit as AT takes P10 now. And PJ and Obsessed side by side on the run through turns 13 and 14. Last 2 corners here. PJ making the pass on the inside. Both cars will take PRS. We start lap 16 of this race. 80's got a hefty advantage here as HB Cook has got around Obsessed. Might try PJ as well. The reserve looking for P11's turn 1. Thinks better of it, maintains the line. Stays in 12th. Play it safer, take the 1 place for now. And might look for the other 2 next few laps. JB and P14 here going side by side with Cockney Goblin. And the Red Bull looking to try and push to improve the team's championship chances against Alpine. As of right now, Alpine scoring the most, but of course, they're the furthest back as it is. Red Bull with 2 points going to 10th as of right now. Could find themselves in a good position to try and tie Sauber. And I believe that 8th place, as it stands right now, would pull them in front of Sauber and obviously increase their lead over Alpine. Alpine only getting a few points here. Obsessed Gamer, another penalty there. So that's 6 seconds for him too. We've got 6 drivers who have penalties in this race. Back up front, it's still Grumio from Che. And Matthew is really falling back now. He's 4 seconds behind those guys, and that's actually closer to Kurt's 10th than he is to Websy and Dan. 80 under pressure now. PJ looking for a move to the right-hand side. Down towards that first corner. Has he got the strength to try and make his way past? He has. Clearing AT. Light works PJ. And despite that penalty, P10 at the moment. HP Cook still biding his time in P12 as Curtis gets passed by 10th into turn 4. So that DRS zone can still be potent, can still be lethal from these guys if they're close enough on corner exit. So a good run through turns 1, 2 and 3 definitely required for a move in turn 4. You can see Che looking around here but can't find any proper opportunities to make that move. As I say, needs a bit more than this in terms of position. Down, right on the tail of Cott there. These two have been going back and forth since the start of the race, more or less, or since the Williams cars got involved for the top 4. This could be another change in that battle. Dan was the inside and tries the outside for turn 1. Cott stays clear. Albon penalty now. Curtis gets back around 10th behind them. Now Websy trying to challenge Dan, but won't do it for now. Che in the race lead. Now Grumio and Landlord. Grumio now 3rd. And this, truthfully, is only 1 place off of where Che needs him to be. Obviously, the thing for Che is that even if things do go his way today, likely these decisions will only just keep him in the championship hunt if Grumio was to finish in 4th place. And from there, Che would need to win, more or less win the race of Grumio retiring to keep the championship rolling to the next race, which would be, to my memory, in Qatar. See, Cott challenging Grumio there. Down this main straight, I should expect Grumio to take at least 1 place back. Out the last corner. Again, lap 19. So still a long way to go, about a quarter of the way now through the race. And plenty to play for. And about 20, and about another 52 odd laps for us to play in. Lando takes the lead then. Che and Grumio side by side. Grumio merged in corner X. Double whammy for Che. It could be a triple whammy if Cock gets close enough. Going down towards turn 4. He's trying the inside. Contact between the pair of them, between the Williams and the Ferrari. But Che edging in front a little bit into the right-hander. It's very close, but Che narrowly gets back in front. And Landlord now finds himself leading the way. The RBs here have pulled an advantage of about a second or so over Che and Cott for their fighting. And we'll see at the DRS mark, the exit of turn 14 from 15. I think Che might have lost it. And he has. So, the 2 RBs then have pulled an advantage here. And Grumio now making a move on Landlord. Pulls to the right side of the racetrack, and as Cott takes Che for 4th, Grumio takes Landlord for the race lead. And all of a sudden, Che's job gets a lot harder. 80 in the pit lane, first pitting car. Meanwhile, elsewhere, you can see JB closing on HB Cook. You see Cotley Goblin go for a move behind them. Into turn 1 again. Cotley Goblin passing Obsessed, who may come back on the outside. Won't do it. Cotley clears him, takes the place away. So Cot now in 3rd place, and actually closing the gap to the 2 RBs here. He's doing a remarkable job. Cot getting that out. Of course, hasn't taken a race win since all the way back in season 16. There's Che, the first lead car coming in. It's another set of mediums to go in that car. But I dare say we are now near in the pit windows. PJ joins him in the pits. And out on the racetrack it's HB Cook holding P10. P9 make that. JB now in the 10th spot, going towards turn 1 as Che will rejoin in P14. And up front, Landlord needs Grumio again. Cot closing that gap. Dan needs to bridge a bit more. He's 1.2 back from Cot here. Websy will be right in position to get it off Dan. Matthew now still by himself, but obviously the gap has opened up between him and Websy, but the gap is not so much close between him and Curtis. Curtis is still dealing with 10th, sitting behind him. Of course, those two have been going back and forth throughout the Grand Prix so far. It's been a very fantastic one-on-one to watch when we do come through to it. Matthew Pouncey now. We have to keep it now. Definitely have to keep an eye on that gap between him and Curtis. No one pitting in the top 5. Do you see Matthew in this time? Stays out. This game gets another penalty. And that's Grimmy retakes the lead from Landlord. Websy takes down for P4. JB looking for a move on corner exit on HB Cook, but good exit from the last corner. Here comes JB now, charging through on the right. And pulling ahead. You saw him take a different line to HB Cook out the last corner, and clearly it's paid off for him. Ben and Reggie challenging each other here for the last two places on the circuit. Ben in P19. Reggie by himself here. Ben on fresh tyres. Having made a stop, so I think Reggie is not on pace so far today. Everyone's kept things nice and clean so far. We're 20 laps into this thing. Che is getting to work. He's just passed HB Cook for P10. JB is next target. Does anyone stop this time? I think we're seeing Cotman be coming in. Yes, he is. So Cot making that change. We'll see what tyres he goes on to, and obviously we'll get a sense here as to whereabouts Che will emerge, depending on where he comes out next to Cot. Cot hard tyres going onto that car. Both Williams cars now on the hard compound. Che off the last corner on the tail of JB, and Cot leaving the pit lane now. Here comes Che. Good run on JB with DRS. Will come out in front of Cot, who got DRS for the last corner thanks to being behind Landlord, and Cot has jumped out narrowly in front of Che, who hasn't lost too much time here. And now these two need to sort of work in tandem to get themselves, to ensure they're not losing too much time to each other. And obviously not the top 4 rather in front. Grimmy leading by almost a second here over Landlord. So who makes the next move? Websy, because we assume can run for a lot longer in this race. As JB gets hit with, I think it's a 3rd penalty in this race. Double check. 9 seconds for both JB and for Obsessed here. The Mercedes cars both struggling a bit here, but obviously Obsessed has made a stop, so he's been doing right position-wise in this race. But the situation in terms of situation in terms of penalties, perhaps not helping his case. You saw that, as you've seen, there's been a train more or less behind that car in 10th throughout the day. Che, fastest lap here, so medium tyres got some pace. Make sure I go for a move on Cop towards turn 1. Looking for 8th back, he'll take 8th back. 5.4 seconds behind Curtis. What's the gap to the race leader right now? The gap is about 20.7 seconds. So I imagine these guys should come out around with the leaders as they were again. Be on these fresh tyres, definitely doing chasing good, but obviously will likely need to make another stop in this Grand Prix and can't go on to a set of soft tyres, or as of yet, I'd say you're definitely too far on the race, even after a second stop of these, because there'll still be about 31 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Should Che run these medium tyres same like he ran his first set. So in terms of where you go from here, I think Che will be looking at the mediums for a good finishing tyre, but can't go there again without running at least a set of soft or hards. But still a purple second sector, so he's got the pace here. Has fastest lap to his name. And he may very well set it again. He's about 7-8 tenths up on his previous effort as his teammate in the pit lane now down in the pits. Fastest up again for Che, 1:16.4. That's a fantastic time. I think it's actually about a second and a half up on the last fastest lap. At least the closest fastest lap. What? Look at the pace. It's fantastic from Che. P6 and actively pulling away from Cop by 1.3 seconds here as Dan emerges behind these guys. So has this paid off for Che? Because we'll have to see where he emerges compared to Grumio and Lando. He's now 18 seconds behind those guys. We'll likely need to stop again. Whether Grumio or Lando try and want a one stop for a set of hard tyres, it'll be a long way to go on them. And I think that's potentially one of the biggest joys in terms of these 100% races, and just in terms of what the game plan is for strategy, because you've got to think about a lot more laps than you would do for just a 50% race. We're looking mostly at one stops in these Grand Prix. Of course, next season for F1 25, we've heard a lot from the devs in the last few weeks or so in terms of how that's going to change as Grumio comes into the pit lane here. We'll see where about he emerges compared to Che. I think Che may actually end up coming out in front of him here, and by some distance potentially. But Grumio's in. Yellow flags it to 1. A slow car going a lap down perhaps. And Che is long gone from Grumio here, so this has worked out like a dream for Che. Grumio on the medium tyre as well, so same strategy as the Ferrari. But Che now in 3rd place, I think likely to walk away with the race lead here. And Grumio now finds himself behind Cot as well. So, this has worked out rather spectacularly for Che. And it looks as though he and Grumio have a relatively similar plan here. As of right now, Lando now leading Websy by 2.7 seconds. Websy can go a bit further into the race if he feels it necessary on those hard tyres. So you wonder how much wear he's got on those things compared to Lando, who would likely be looking at quite an amount here. Websy's pit window hasn't actually opened as of yet, so we'll keep an eye out for him. That blue light, the main indicator, as Curtis comes in. Grumio passing 10th and not yet passing Cop though. And Che almost 3 seconds to clear of Grumio. Grumio obviously knows what's on the line here. Knows that he's practically a shoe-in at this stage for the championship, and it'll take a gargantuan collapse for it to really fall away from him now, but I'm sure would like to get the job done in today's race. I'd say right now, despite the fact that Che will likely be leading the way, it looks as though Grumio will be more or less in or around 2nd place, and Even if Che wins, that is more than enough for Grumio to win the title. Both cars stay out. Websy can't quite shake the Mercedes behind him, the Red J machine there. Dead last and currently a lap down. And with a penalty there. And as Grumio's cleared him. So both Williams cars now with penalties. Now do Grumio the world of good. Because he'll know likely that if he stays in that pack as he has been in the Grand Prix so far, he would likely be walking away with the championship provided he doesn't get a penalty of his own. We've seen him do that in the past as he breezes. Let's Cot breeze past him there. Moves back into line. And perhaps sacrificing some time here compared to Che, who is going all out on those medium tyres. He's doing a remarkable job here. We're on lap 28 of this Grand Prix. We're about 8 laps from halfway. And Landlord and Websy still running those same tyres. Now these two, it's a mystery in terms of what they're running. And I wonder perhaps, is the one stop what both these guys are planning here? I imagine Che and Grumio are looking at the set of hard tyres for their second and more likely be at that stage final pit stop. Both cars staying out again here, so both cars have done 28 laps on their tyres each. Che in third place, 3 seconds in front of Cot, who continues to hold off Grumio. Down by himself, P6. JB now 7th. Obviously yet to make his first pit stop of the race, as is Alvar in P9. Matthew flanking those two, or in between those two cars in 8th, again by himself. Curtis there in P10, holding the last point to play in place. PJ right behind him. 80 in 12th, Obsessed in 13th. HP Cook 14th, Ethan 15th and 10th. Having made their stop in P16 now, has a bit of work to do. And just out DRS range for now. You may see Ethan make a move here on HP Cook going towards turn 1. And in front of these guys, see PJ and Curtis challenging into the first quarter. PJ takes the place. Good move there. Curtis and AT side by side for 11th place here. It looks like AT emerges in front for now. Ben with the penalty. Ben running in P18 here. EJ in P19. Things have gone away from him in this Grand Prix so far. This big train is perhaps one of the more focal points of this race. PJ currently has 3 seconds of penalties. That place right now is going to Curtis in terms of points. As Grumio sets the fastest lap. He's around Cot now and starting to pull away. And I think now is the point we'll start to see Grumio haul some lap time. As Landor still leads Websy by 2.2 seconds here. Che, that gap was swiftly closing between him and Grumio. It's now down to 2 seconds. It was 3 about a lap ago. So we are 30 laps into this Mexican Grand Prix. There's still 41 laps to go. It's been thoroughly enjoyable so far. Alva by himself in P9 there. PJ still holding this train back. It's then AT, Curtis, Obsessed, HB Cook and Ethan. 10th right behind them, but losing ground here. No DRS for her. It's Ben holding off Courtney Goblin and EJ. And then Red J still running right behind Websy. But can't really go for movers. Landlord's pitted. Landlord then onto hard tyres, which means that Websy leads the Grand Prix. And Che 4 seconds behind him, but Grumio is 1.3 back from Che now. That's been 7 tenths gained, 8 tenths gained on that lap alone. And now the pressure's on. Another foot in Dan's rear view in P5 right now. Lando about 7.5 seconds back. Matthew by himself in P7. Things continuing on back here. It's been a remarkable scrap. You see Curtis looking around, trying to take just trying to find some sort of place if he can. Can't do it right now, but keep an eye on him because he may still have pace in the locker. Of course, his teammate was up front, but has now made it stop. JB sits in P16, 12 seconds back from that train. His 10th is now in DRS range and right back with these guys. So she'll go back to work and trying to find a place inside of the points. As a result, PJ now holds P9. Grumio now passing Che, going down towards turn 1, further up front. And that will mean that Grumio will definitely win the title, as see Alvar coming in for his first stop of the race. Which means that only Websy is yet to make that first pit stop. Down to turn 1 again for Curtis. And breezing past PJ. Of course, the fight between Alpine, Sauber and Red Bull still very strong in the Constructors' Championship. As of right now, it's currently advantage Sauber overall in points. But in terms of points being scored today, it's advantage Alpine with Curtis in P8 and with no penalties to his name. Now Matthew only has 3 seconds, so Curtis will need to close a good 4 seconds to the gap he's got right now in order to actually take that place. Curtis pulling away here. So what? So I see him out of speed in the locker. It looks like he does. And up front, Grumio is just taking Websy for the race lead. And not only that, he's gapped 2 seconds already on Che. So Grumio has got the hammer down and now leads the way. So in terms of tyres then, what does Websy do from here? Because he's lost enough time to the point where the guys around him have all made pit stops. And as a result, he's now behind the first of those guys. So what does he do from here? Grumio leads on to lap 34. Dominating this thing now. Che is closing the gap on Websy. He'll have DRS for his first corner once again. Blue flags in play. As Red J, I think, finally have to move out the way for the leaders. And Dan will be the next car through, and that'll be it. So Red J can get back to it. Had a good run set behind Websy for a little bit. He's just acquired his first penalty of the evening. So Grumio then once again up front and in a championship winning position. Currently on for victory number 113, but still half a Grand Prix to come. Web's in third place. The penalties as it stands right now, in terms of 3-second stuff, it looks as though Websy is safe in third. Matthew is safe in 7th. PJ, not so safe from HB Cook, but obviously as HB is a reserve, PJ may still take will still have 9th place back, I think, regardless. Obsessed is in P11, 1 place off the points, so would take that last spot, but has 9 seconds. So likely to go to AT in P12. But 10th Cannon's back in the order. She's fighting in P13 and looking for that spot back. Ethan P14, nothing for him. JB's got 9 seconds, so he's one of 3 cars to have 9 seconds. The third one being Ben. Alvaro's teammate has got 3. Cotley Goblin's got nothing. EJ with 6 and Red J with 3 as well. So a decent amount of penalties for everyone here down the field. And nearing the exact halfway mark now. And it is Grumio still leading. Taking a look further back here, looks like things are evened out a little bit. 18 now leading this train. He's got Obsessed Gamer for company. Curtis and PJ were both in command of that train, what some said, as was HB Cook, but all 3 of those guys have now really started to get the lead out, and they're sitting comfortably by themselves, leaving AT to fend off the challenges. Aside from that, everyone else is actually quite spaced out right now, as Obsessed may go for a move here, but not before Tenth goes one to the right hand side. And double play for 10th down the main straight. Does Obsessed get through as well? Had to back up considerably. He was boxed in between 10th and AT. Obsessed loses out. And 10th gains 2 places. So she now acquires the last points paying spot. And that'll work out nicely for Red Bull here. But of course, we'll need to get up to PJ to try and take the places back in the constructors. PJ Nelson quiet by now. Cott and Webster side by side for third. Cott takes the spot away. DRS almost always winning out in this situation. Ben, the first car to reach over 12 seconds in terms of penalties. Grumio in complete control of this thing, and HB Cook now passing PJ. These two guys side by side in this first corner looking for P9. PJ takes it for now, 10th by herself. 18 Obsessed going at it. Ethan right behind him is going to pick up any scraps. And again, the reserve makes that pass. Move HB Cook up to the 9th spot now. Keep an eye on these guys here. AT, going to drop sets behind him, going to make a move perhaps. He's got a bit of a run on AT, perhaps going towards turn number 12. The Aston Martin there, just needing to keep his car just tucked to the inside a little bit there, just to ensure that Obsessed doesn't have enough room to go for a move to the inside to try and make the corner. To be a prime chance to overtake perhaps for one of these guys at least, even with a great run here. And I fear Obsessed may lose out to both cars again. AT backing off. And both cars get around him. Will he get DRS for the exit of turn 3? He's got a good run, slowing fast out from AT. Tapping the back of Ethan's car. And blasting past both machines. Well, there you go. Back and forth for AT. Drops to P14, brings back up to P12. Great stuff. Tenth Cannon on the tail now, HB Cook and PJ. Things in the midfield getting quite exciting. We'll see on this main straight if 10th has anything up her sleeve for at least one of these guys. Good run. Down the main straight, DRS in play for both cars, but again it's 10th who emerged in front. At least for a second, they're dead even here. And HB Cook breaking awfully early there, allowing 10th through. Is he about to employ the same thing that AT did a moment ago? Not quite. But 10th may go for 2 cars in the first sector essentially. She gets a good enough run on PJ. Won't do it. Keeps herself in line. Grumio 6.1 seconds now over Cott in second place. He's managed to pass Chafer, who sits in third. Landlord in P6, so the strategy hasn't gone fantastically for Landlord here. He finds himself down the order, but of course points are plenty to the good for RB right now. They sit 95 points in front of Ferrari in the championship. Ferrari, as it stands, will currently be scoring 30 points. So RB increasing that lead by 8, potentially 7. Or potentially 9. So Grumio holds fast his lap. So on course to score full 26 points, actually gaining 11 on Che, which is more than enough. At this point, with likely a pit stop still to be made. Websy, extraordinarily, still in that same set of tyres as he has been the entire Grand Prix here. And I'm wondering if he has some sort of charge lined up for the end of the race. And as I say that, in he comes. So 40 laps completed then on those hard tyres. A tremendous first stint from Websy. Websy, the wily old fox, 335th RDL start from today. Or second most starts in the league of all time. Exceeded only by JB, who sits strong with 367. Three of those races, Websy were of course race victories. All 3 of which have come in the last few seasons or so. Of course, his first win in Azerbaijan in season 15, and of course last season, season 17, managed to take the win in Miami. I believe there's one that I'm missing in season 15 too, but which race it was, I can't for the life of me remember. But now see what Websy can do here on these medium tyres. Of course, got much fresher tyres than the rest of the field, but of course we'll be nearing that pit window for everyone else for the end of the Grand Prix. So in terms of how long that advantage lasts for, we'll have to see. And he's currently 33 seconds behind the race leader Grumio. And about 25 or so, 26 behind the last car on the podium, Che. Is still caught in second place. He's still hunting his first win of the season, as I said earlier. Hasn't actually won an RDL race on F1 24 as of yet. His last victory, I believe, was back in season 16 in Austria, which, to my memory, was his only victory of that campaign. And unfortunately, it was a race that I couldn't make, so I've been sat here for since at least season 15, waiting to see him win again. Webb's making the pass on Curtis now, so the work beginning for Websy, but he's got a fantastic car underneath him and a fantastic set of tyres too. And he's almost getting practically a tenth a second on the car in front of him, that being Matthew. And it's then, oh, yellow flag. Ben is at the race. He's retired the car in the pit lane. And I was thinking to be a safety car for a second, then Curtis setting off too. Recovers it. No damage done to the Alpine, but Ben is out of the race. So one retiree And what could have caused that? Regardless, it's AR will head back out into the circuit and, of course, pull the car over. End of the race for him, but one car down. You see a yellow flag down the first sector, where you can see Mackie coming through. So then Webbsy in 10th. Webbsy one in front of 10th, obviously. Just be careful clearing Ben's car, which will now pull over to the side of the racetrack. Make sure it all goes away okay. Still on the racing line for a second there. And not all of these circuits are very nice in terms of AR retirements. Truthfully, there's an opportunity for Ben's car to pull over at the exit turn 1, but there he goes. So Ben is out. And we continue on then with 19 of our 20 starters. Grumio then on to lap 44. And currently, 24 laps from victory in this race. Excuse me, sorry, 27 laps from victory. Down the pit lane. His second stop. Hard tyres going onto that Ferrari. He's away. Tenth in P8 right now, followed by PJ and HB Cook. It's then 2 seconds back to Curtis in P11, who will obviously take the last points playing place off of the reserve. Dan rejoining, coming out in front of these guys here. And Red J, I think, pulling over to let these guys all through. Last of cars being JB, so not BJ, being Curtis, apologies. AT, Ethan, JB yet to lap Red J for now. Obsessed Gamer, his teammate, in for a set of hard tyres. Is the plan perhaps to run to the end of the race on those? And is the plan the same for Dan, potentially? And Che's medium tyres are potentially starting to hit the cliff here. And in he comes. Change then being made for Che. And the hard tyres going on now. So, the game plan the same for both race cars at Ferrari. And now I've now used both tyres, and we're safe in terms of free choice for the remainder of the Grand Prix. Where does Che emerge though? Webbs is the next car. Going to the main straight now as Che emerges from the pits. But do we now see Che start to put a bit more pace on these fresh tyres, as we saw him do on the start of his second stint? Lando by himself in third. Of course, he's had his share of leading the race today. Apologies there. Can we go a bit wide there in turn 13? I haven't focused on too much in a little while. We'll keep an up. We'll come back to him later. Everything seems alright for him right now. Staying out. So 10th car now in P7. After Matthew's coming for his pit stop onto hard tyres. It's the only Haas driver who can score right now. 13th in the championship for Matthew. Done a fantastic job so far in his first few races in the league. HP on the tail here of PJ going towards turn 1. Good run from both cars. PJ backing out of it and maybe trying to set up for a move on corner exit, as we've seen several times today. AT and Ethan both in the pits. And Grumio pitting then. And he comes now for likely be his final stop of the race. Hard tyres onto that car as well. Will likely emerge far in front of Che here. Yellow flag. And that's Reggie again. Grumio a long way up the pit lane. And Che watching his rival there in front of him. Of course, it's the second season that these two have gone probably head to head for the championship. Grumio looks to emerging victorious on both occasions here. As Che reappears behind Websy. Well, there we go. But obviously Grumio still quite away from the distance. And Websy on those medium tyres continues to charge here. Now, how long does Cott try and go on these hards for? Are we looking potentially at a change onto softs for the end of the race? Cott stays out this time. Lando will keep where he is. The drivers that have done the longest stints on these current tyres are PJ and HB Cook, who've done 26 and 24 laps respectively. The last corner, these two continuing to tango for position. Of course, 10th managed to get around both of them here. So she sits in 7th place, doing a remarkable job. Of course, compared to where she started. Very good position change. PJ gets getting the most place in this race so far. He had gained 10, he's now getting 9, but still the most to anyone in the pack. Truthfully, 10th started to place higher, so Pat's dropped down the order a little bit. HB Cook has also himself getting 7 places. So these two, I think, so far, in terms of getting themselves in front of other cars from the class to field. But obviously, when they pit, I imagine we should see that change. Matthews down 3 spots. Alvarez up 5. Drivers have dropped most places, being AT and EJ. So I think the race hasn't gone fantastically for the two Astons here. And of course, it's halted what has been a very successful run for them. 67 points for that team for the season. There's 4 rounds left in it, and in order to try and get themselves any higher than 8th place in the Constructors, you'd be looking potentially at some more decent results. You'd be looking potentially for AT or EJ to nab another podium for the team if they can. Of course, as has been mentioned plenty of times in this campaign, it's been a season of chopping and changing for Aston Martin. Of course, it started out with Damien James and Flying Duck behind the wheel. Duck still, I believe, sits in the league as a reserve, if I'm not mistaken. He does. I believe as a last-minute reserve, if we need him. James departed obviously earlier in the season. Of course, was heavily involved in the title fight last season with Grumio and with Landlord. As Websy gets hit with another penalty here. He's currently got 6 seconds to his name. And Che is only 2 seconds behind him, so likely will lose 2 places, I think. 2 Ferraris behind. Those guys on the hard tyres, obviously a lot less worn than Websy's. He's still relatively fresh medium, so not an awful amount of wear there. Cott's been on his hard tyres for 27 laps, so he's done equally grueling stint on those as the same as PJ and HB Cook. We are 21. We'll be 21 laps from the finish when we cross the line. Actually, rather, currently 21 laps to go. We'll be 20 laps away from the end of the race when Cott gets past the stripe once again. Websy's still sitting in P4 there. For the back, this 3-car train continues to fight Obsessed, AT, and Ethan all together. EJ and Courtney separated by less than a second. Reggie behind those guys. Believe a lap down to everyone in the field as Cott comes into the pits. Grumio into second place now. Cott onto mediums. So what sort of charge does he have up his sleeve here? We know how long those mediums can last for. So Cott is away. He emerges in fourth place, sorry. Just in front of Che. And needs to close, I think, 11 seconds more or less on Grumio to try and win this race. I'd say if Cott can put a clinic on him, actually really get his skates and start moving, I'd say there's every chance he can still emerge with the race winning this thing. But obviously the penalty he's got, the 3 seconds, are also going to play against him, I think, in this late in the race. Not to mention Grumio is still on pace himself right now. Landor is in the lead. I imagine we'll see him, will not be too long before he comes in for his last stop. I shouldn't think he'll make those tyres last to finish. I mean, Websy showed it can be done, but I'm not sure if he can maintain pace to win the race from here. We'll have to see when Abati pits, and from there, where he rejoins, and we'll just have to see. 4-car train here. Williams leading Ferrari. Of course, Williams still looking for big opportunities to try and gain on Haas. In the constructors, Haas as of right now, a no score in this Grand Prix. Matthew outside of the points, Imrie not in the race. Hayes Cook can't score points for the team. And a third and fourth place finish will do wonders for that gap. It's currently it was 32 points going into this race as Che gets back around Websy at turn 1. And the Ferrari cars find themselves in a Williams sandwich. Websy's lost out on DRS. Grumio now 4.2 back. Sorry, in terms of this constructors fight between Williams and Haas in the standings for third place, because obviously RB and Ferrari have been the class of the fields in terms of those constructors' points. Ferrari, of course, led a long way in this championship before RB overhauled them about 5 or 6 rounds ago. 95 points is that gap going into tonight. I should imagine it should increase with Grumio likely to take the win here in a net P1 as Cott sets the fastest lap. So he's pulling away here from the 2 Ferraris who both get DRS for now. But will they have it when we come back around next time? Regardless, Cott has pace on his medium tyres, but can he keep that pace up? He's 10 seconds back from Grumio. Further back, Curtis, PJ, and HB Cook, their fight resumed position. Look at how long they've been those tyres for. Well, just these four drivers in particular. 25, 26, 32, and 30. Fantastic run team. We saw Webster take the hard tyres for about 40 laps before he made his change. I'm just thinking, is there going to be anyone who runs the risk and tries a pair of soft tyres? Alvar's trying the mediums. He's on for his more likely to be his last stop of the race. His teammate obviously out quite a while ago. Curtis here pulling away massively from PJ. He's 4 seconds back from Ted Cannon, which is 13 back herself from Websy in P6. Websy back in the pit lane though. Second stop for Websy in this sort of second stop of the Grand Prix, and a set of hard tyres for Websy. So a change has been made, and we're fighting likely for P6 now. PJ also coming in, so the first of those guys to cap off their lengthy second stints to the least. But Websy now, sorry, that was his second stop. Sorry, so he's made 2 stops in this Grand Prix, but and PJ now onto a set of mediums. EJ penalty there. There is your penalty situation right now. Cott's got like 3 seconds to think about. Webbs has got 6. Matthew has 3. PJ has 6. But best gamer has the most with 12. Both EJ and JB have 9 seconds. And then Cotty Goblin, Alva, and Red J all have 3. AT, I think, stands to gain the most right now. As it stands, he'll gain that last point. HB Cook will move Webbs up to 9th. Sorry, move Voice to 8th, Matthew to 9th. PJ to 10th, but obviously, as PJ has 6 seconds, likely he'll relinquish that spot to the Aston Martin behind him. Obsessive's got 12, so I think his chance to support is a shot most likely. Ethan can get P11. So who knows, a retirement or a late pit stop in front, and if Ethan can take enough advantage, then we could potentially find him in the points. Potentially he might take this point spot over PJ, because PJ's got 6 seconds. Matthew now to P9, Curtis is in. Medium tyres in the Alpine, he's away. It's been a long race here, and you're nearing the conclusion. Curtis now comes out behind this trade, or rather rejoins midway through. Grumio now on his teammate's tail. On to lap 56. This could be the championship defining pass for the race lead now. Grumio making his way through. Light work for him. Passing his teammate who follows in his wake. But the 8-time champion now finds himself in the race lead. And short of Cott closing him down, is on for another victory this season. Cott seems to be getting pegged back by the 2 Ferraris of Dan and Che. Those guys keeping him honest right now. And Grumio, as it stands, set for win number 13 of the campaign, and with it, his 9th championship. Is it this point in the Grand Prix? I will put out. Hope everyone is enjoying the race so far. It's been a very enjoyable one for these to watch from at least mine. I hope you guys have enjoyed it as much as I have so far. There's still 15 laps to go, so plenty more enjoyment to come. And I would just ask, obviously, obviously, please subscribe to the channel for obviously all the future RDL content from here. Yellow flag, as obviously Red J has to let Landau through. That's all clear. But obviously, as I say, well, be sure to get subscribed for all the RDL content as we obviously reach the last 4 rounds of the season. Grumio fastest lap there, so continuing on his meteoric march, and domination continues in this race. Of course, it's been a lead that Grumio has dominated in the last couple of years. Took his 5th championship on F1 22 in season 13. Went back to back, won a 2nd one. Let's make it championship number 6. That was with Aston Martin that season. Of course, won the title with Williams in season 16. Won it with Haas last season in season 17. And now looks on to win another one, a 9th in season 18. That's half the championships that have been contested will have been won by this driver here, should he cross the line successfully in 14 laps time. Come back to him later on, but as of right now, Che is busy scrapping with Cott and Dan in the race at last spot on the podium. Dan is likely to take that place if we can hang on distance-wise. Both those guys in front of him have 3-second penalties. So I think the key for Dan is to avoid getting one of his own. Of course, went a fair... Oh, Che goes for the circuit there. Recovers it and pops out behind his teammate there. So 2 places down for Che and losing 16 points in the World Championship on a day where he's meant to be trying to gain 13 at least. And with 14 laps to go, I'd say likely we're looking at Che finally having to cede and defeat for a 2nd time to Grumio in his RDL career. But don't say let nothing take away from the performance that Che has given this season for Ferrari. Of course, was fantastic in the closing stages of last season. Won the opening round He's taken 3 wins of his own. 5 wins overall for Ferrari in this season. Of course, there's been a multitude of winners over the course of this campaign. This game, another penalty for him. He's still sat there in P11, but has 18 seconds to his name. But I'm sure would like to just try and finish inside the points if he can. It's been brilliant driving from Seth, has to be said, minus the track limits violations. Keeping pace, doing a fantastic job. He's really come into his own this season. It's been fantastic to see. Obviously, he has 10 points to show for it in this campaign. I remember last week, Red J told me he wasn't particularly looking forward to Mexico. I think he'll be looking to Las Vegas next week. I think Mercedes as a whole will be looking to that. We'll be looking to Las Vegas next week. Of course, Obsessed had Q3 pace around there last season. I think unfortunately missed out on points, but that'll be an exciting 25 laps in prospect. And I think Landon is going to the end of the race on these tyres here. Whether Koch can close him down, he's 7.7 seconds behind as of right now. And of course, those tyres get more and more worn. We're likely seeing Landon do about 39 laps on those hard tyres, unless he of course calls time and chooses to come in. EJ Cotney joining Red J Me at least a lap down. Aston Martin have fallen off a cliff in this Grand Prix, has to be said. And Lando, I've just noticed this, got a lot of damage on that wing. When did he accrue that? Apologies for missing that, but yellow flag. Oh, has gone off. VSC's been deployed, and our first VSC of any kind. Matthew has had a spin at turn number 12 and has lost the entire front wing here. No full safety car for us as of right now. Websy in 10th, both taking advantage of this. Medium tyres going on for 10th. Is it the same plan for Websy? It's soft tyres for Websy. May try and potentially see one of these two cars nab fastest lap. But a brief pause then in the action. Matthew looking at softs as well. And obviously changing that wing too. So he's out the points once again here, but can fight his way back. Waiting for that green flag to drop again. For us to get back to racing. We're 11 laps from the end. And Alvar drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car, so he has to come in and serve that. I think the next few laps or so. And Cott, Dan and Che on the wrong side of the circuit. Che's fallen back here from both Dan and Cott, who are dueling for that podium finish. Of course, Dan, until last week, hadn't finished on the podium, I believe, since his victory at Imola. So it's the case where you wait so long for one bus to come and then two show up at once. But that, of course, that phrase being true in this case, all depends on whether or not you can get around Cott, obviously just maintain that 3-second advantage. 10th Cannon gets her first penalty of the evening. We've got PJ and Websy on her tail here. All of a sudden, we catapulted up into 6th place. On those medium tyres, can she hold off the cars behind her? Websy's on those soft tyres. How long will it take before they wear off? This could be a very entertaining scrap in the last few laps. 10th likely will emerge in the place, unless, of course, PJ can gain 3 seconds, or if indeed Websy can gain 3 seconds. PJ gets around her. Websy doesn't. Curtis in P9. HP Cook P10. Obsessed in P11. It's Ethan, Matthew, and Alvar. Alvar not serving that drive-through. '18 and JB, EJ, Cotney, and Red J. The last of your running order here. And Grimio in front of us. Landon, obviously, even with that wing, is still keeping up with Grimio right now. You see, I think it was EJ almost going to send you off the circuit there. JB and AT are likely to be the next cars to go a lap down here. are now within the final 10 laps of this Mexican Grand Prix. It's been a long race. And we are nearing the checker flag. And Grumio is nearing that championship. But Cott and Dan are closing in a fair bit here. The gap has gone down. And Cott obviously are much fresher tyres. Dan has kept pace. Che is still with them, but obviously has that 3 seconds. Yellow flag. And that's Red J. Albar in now, surfing that drive-through. Grumio's coming through behind. Makes the pass. And Landlord still on the tail of his teammate. Are these two going to scrap for the race win? Can Cott or Dan close on them? And can Che do anything from where he is now? We saw this race come down to a late safety car last season, and of course the penalties there really shook things up, and the cars didn't have any, took major advantage. Neither Grumio nor Landlord have any. Obsessed game with 3 seconds, but a safety car now would throw this race into chaos. But I'm thinking we're going to be all good from here. Blue flag continue to fly here. But Cott is now right on the tail of Landlord and Grumio, and we could be in for a spectacular finish here to cap this race off. Red J penalty. That's 6 seconds for him. A total of 27 seconds for Mercedes today. The majority of those courtesy of Obsessed. Caught to the inside of Landlord, trying it. Made a bit of contact. Trying to draw alongside, can't do it as of yet. Towards turn 4. Landlord getting DRS, keeping him in play in front of Cott, who may try the outside here and take advantage of that stricken RB. And Cott with another penalty. That's 6 seconds for him now. And there goes Dan. Dan on the outside. Can he try it? Double pass. He's done it. I don't believe what a move there from Daniel Aron. Now finds himself in second place. But at this point, with that fight, is it too little too late? Can he still close down Grumio? And will either Landlord or Cott come back at him? Oh. Where did Landlord go there? Did Cott move him out of the way? I'm not too sure. There goes Grumio out of turn 17. And Dan and now Cott in third. Landlord fourth and Che brought back into the equation in fifth. 10th Cannon still leading Webster and PJ. Curtis P9. HB Cook and P10. And it's Obsessed. Ethan's there. I'm thinking Ethan will likely be walking away with that last point on a day where Red Bull, Sauber and Alpine will all be scoring points as it stands. How much advantage this can HB Cook take? If he can get a bit of a run and start to close in these last few laps, we could see him up there in the higher in the top 10. Obviously no points on offer for him. It's this last train here altogether. I'll say train, that's splits up a fair bit at this point in the race, but Chain now passing Landlord. So Chain's a fourth. And he needs to be in P1 and Grumio needs to be where he is now in P4. So the championship luckily still not going his way, but 6 laps to go. It's Dan and Cott fighting for third. I think Che will likely have nabbed that last spot on the rostrum, or Landlord might take both of them. But Landlord's dropping back here, so whether he can still take it, I'm not too sure. Given that damage, I think might be starting to really wear that RB thin. And I think I can remember. Courtney Goblin's got, for a second I thought Courtney Goblin had the same amount of damage, but doesn't seem so. And Che with a second penalty there. So likely it will be Dan and Landlord standing on the podium with Grumio here. PJ gets a penalty, 9 seconds from now. Look at this. The amount of penalties on the board. That's what one of these 100% races does to you. Grumio, 3.5 seconds now to the good. He can get a penalty and even taking away Cot to still be okay. Courtney Goblin there. Gets the second one. There's just 5 drivers on the racetrack who haven't had a penalty yet. Grumio, Dan, Landlord, HB Cook, and AT. 5 laps to go. Cot still holding second. Dan third. And it's turn 1. There he goes to the inside. P2 secure from if he can clear that spot. Cot taps the back of the Ferrari there. Obsessed Gamer, 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. 24 seconds to his name now. Look at that. The only driver with double digits as of right now. Dan up to second. Che trying to close on the pair of these guys. The more they fight, the more Che can close in. Landlord here has made another stop. Onto a set of soft tyres here. Might try and nab fastest up, but more or less locking himself into finish 5th in this Grand Prix. Unless by some miracle he can close the gap, we'll get a late safety car. But it's been a clean race here from everyone, so I shouldn't think we'd see that. Oh, contact! As I say that. Dan, they're holding off Cot and Che. Grumio now 4 laps from victory. And from that 9th crown. Cot making the pass now down the inside. Back and forth between these two cars. Does Che have any chance of getting involved here? Does Dan lift off? Dan's lifting off. So Che now into 3rd place. Dan is on for 2nd, but can sit back and watch these two brawl. In terms of, because with Landlord out of the picture, it's a question of who will emerge from this one in front, and they'll be the cars to take 3rd. So Ferrari can still take a double podium from this. That fastest lap still belongs to Grumio. JB penalty, 2nd car now to end up to have double digits in terms of pens. Grumio complete control. And currently 5.4 seconds to the good. And just 3 laps away. Further back here, the fight is still on P8. Curtis will likely take that place. But PJ wants it on track. 10th Cannon. Actually fairly close to Landlord here, but likely Landlord will start to pull away. And he's got purple sector 2, so can he try and nab that fastest lap point from his teammate? It'll stay in RB's hold, but we'll just go to the other driver. I'm not sure Grumio will be too bothered by this point. Landlord over the line, 1:14.6. So Landlord takes fastest lap. Likely that will not be topped from here. He's set for P5 and 11 points going his way if he can keep things going for the next 3 laps. Che right on Cot's tail here. Both these two are saving ERS for what promises to be a fantastic final lap shootout. We'll keep an eye on that as best we can. But obviously we also have to keep an eye on this guy. There's 2... Oh, the slide there from Grumio. Been as hard for a while here, but obviously still plenty of time left for any mistakes. But of course, he was going to make them. He'd have made them in the first 69 laps. 2 laps to go then. And who wants to be in that catbird seat? It's caught right now. And I think likely he'll be stuck in that spot going on to the final lap. And both Ferraris will pull off a broadside assault from both sides. Landau set in P5. 10th looks to be set in P6. The running order is more or less secure here. Everyone is nice and spaced out, save for these 3 Ferraris and this little train here. Courtney, EJ and Red J, all laps down. Tough race for these guys. I hope to see them recover next week in Vegas. It's been a long, grueling Grand Prix, so fair play to them making the end. And of course, Courtney and EJ, 45 laps each on those hard tyres. Fantastic effort from both of them to keep the car on the circuit. Up front, it's still these guys fighting for position. And we'll see Cott go for that move. Or rather, have to defend from the move that both Ferraris will no doubt be making. Che is gearing up for it. He's sort of winding up, letting Cott know in the mirrors he's there. But these guys all sitting 6 seconds behind the champion to be in a lap's time. Lap 71. One more lap to go for Salve Grumio to complete this Mexican Grand Prix. He's got DRS down the main straight. We'll keep an eye on a second on these guys as Cott will try and break the toe. Dan on for second place. Who's going to finish third? It's Che versus Cott. Overtaking use for Cott. DRS for Che. And the DRS narrowly trumping the battery here. Che into turn 1, but Cott dives back to the inside. Contact! Around goes Cott on the final lap. And the Williams goes around on the final furlong. And Cott is out of the podium places now, down to 4th. The Ferraris are set now in P3 and P2, but in P1, Grumio is half a lap from victory. Nearing the third and final sector here. Seasons 4, 5, 6 and 7, he was the champion. Didn't win again until F1 22, won 2 titles back-to-back. Fan abrupted his charge at the top of the order, but he's taken the last 2 championships in a row. And as the confetti starts to rise in the stadium section here, Grumio is 2 corners away from the ultimate victory. He'll round the final corner, take the checker flag in Mexico, and we can mark Salve Grumio down as a 9-time Racers Driving League champion. He wins the Mexican Grand Prix. Che, battered and beaten, will finish in 2nd place on the road. Dan will take the last spot on the podium, 2nd spot on the podium rather. Che will finish in 3rd. A valiant effort from Ferrari, but the prancing horse has been toppled by the charging bull. Cott in 4th place, disappointing into the Grand Prix for after such a fantastic drive. Lionel will finish with this thing in 5th place with fastest lap to boot. His teammate comes home once again to take the championship, and obviously a big step for RB towards the Constructors' title. The Grumio-Landau partnership has once again come together and destroyed all challengers. 10th and 6th, fantastic drive for her in the end to come back to her starting spot. Curtis will finish in 7th in front of Websy and PJ. 10th jumps to P5. Oh, Lionel's been retired in the session, so Curtis P6, Perks P7. HB Cook up the order. PJ cross line, Ethan there. Obsessed Gamer will likely lose a spot or 2. AT, I think, is crashed. He's retired the car. Checker flag is now out. And it'll take a minute or 2 for us to figure out the order. But the race is done. The season, the championship has been completed with 4 rounds to go. And much like Liverpool winning the Premier League yesterday with just 4 games to spare, Grumio has come through again, as he has done in the past, thrown down the gauntlet, taken on all comers, and standing tall again as the season 18 champion. Of half the seasons contested in the Racers Driving League, he has taken half of them. What a record. 113 race victories. And he's showing no signs of slowing down at all. A well-deserved championship then. Grumio, built different, it has to be said, and the celebrations beginning here in Mexico. Another title for Grumio. Another victory to add to the illustrious career of this quite frankly remarkable RDL driver. That'll mark it down then. The season, in terms of the championship race for the driver's title, is drawn to the close. I believe the constructors can still be contested by Ferrari. But for now, the driver's title going to Grumio. Congratulations to him on winning the title. and we'll see who we get in for a post-race chat. Whether we get anyone in, it wouldn't surprise me. That was a very, very grueling race. And the championship has now been won. And I can't imagine the feeling inside the car to have won that championship in the fashion that he's done it. It's been remarkable in every sense of the word. And Grumio now is your champion. And we'll see if we get any takers, of course, for the post-race interviews. Hopefully we'll be able to get someone in. But obviously, if not, then likely we'll cap the stream off. But I want to say thank you for watching, everyone. It's been a fantastic Grand Prix. I thoroughly enjoyed that. What a race. Remarkable all day long from Grumio. I'll message him, see if I can pull him for a conversation. I haven't been able to in a long time. I'm not sure if I've actually ever had him in for a conversation. But I'll do what I can. I'll see if I can bring him in. We'll be getting Red J through in a few minutes, of course. He said to us that this one would be a fantastic race for him. And 10th Cannon is the first to join us for a post-race interview. 10th, welcome along. P6 in the end for you. That was a bit up and down race for you. You've come through and taken a solid result. Congratulations.
Thank you. I don't know. I'm really proud of that one. I had to really work for it. Really wasn't an easy one. It's very hot in my room right now, so very physically demanding race, but very fun as well. Had a lot of fun actually passing cars for once rather than just sitting behind in the DRS.
Obviously, the change towards the end of the Grand Prix was that virtual safety car came at the right time for some of you guys to come and make the switch onto. It was mediums you went onto, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it was. I was heading through the second to last corner as the virtual safety car came out. So, my instinct was to not pit, but I almost felt my hands dragging myself towards the pit lane. So, definitely the right choice, I think. I saw PJ stayed out and he got swallowed up. But fair play to him for actually trying something different and trying to get his Sauber into a good position, which I think he actually scored points in the end, but I could be mistaken on that. But yeah, just good race from everyone. Good. It is these 30% race, 100% races are very taxing, as you can tell by my tripping over my speech.
Fair enough. Honestly, I don't blame you. Obviously, the points today will pull. I think we'll pull Red Bull in front of Sauber again, just about for the constructors race. Is that a position you guys can hold the last 4 races?
I don't know. We'll have to see. Depends on whether Courtney can get into the points maybe or not, and whether I can keep my head, which I hope I do. I think I can do. I'm feeling pretty good about my my pace lately. Especially as we come towards the end of the season now. I think there's some pretty good tracks for me, so we'll wait and see.
Fair enough. I mean, obviously Vegas next week, is that a circuit we're looking at for potentially another points finish?
No, I forgot about Vegas. Oh God, no, I hate Vegas. So I hate Vegas, but it is the world capital of gambling, I think, or something like that. So hopefully I can back my way into a points finish, because I don't think I'm going to be able to do it on pace. I hate Vegas.
I mean, there's an argument that says Vegas is all about luck, so you never know. If you do back into one, we won't be too surprised given the location. Oh, okay, well, we'll let you go to just relax and decompress the rest of the evening. Obviously, good job on the points. Perhaps we'll see you back in next week.
Thank you. Yeah, really looking forward to it, even if it is Vegas.
Fair enough. So that was 10th Cannon then, and we'll move on now to our second place finisher, Daniel Aaron, who comes home in the end in front of both Cott and Che. Dan, did you get a glimpse to what happened on the final lap with that move being made with Che and Cott?
Yeah, looks like, I mean, we were both me and Che were behind Cot, just trying to get the DRS. We were going for that last lap push. Che obviously got the move done before the corner. He left him space on the apex. I think Cot just took a bit too much of the curb and sent him into the side of Che, which is unfortunate because it was a good race up until that point. Yeah, I don't think it shouldn't have cost Cot too much. I think Che with the DRS was just had a bit too much, but and obviously I was penalty free compared to them. So yeah, it's a shame that ended that way because it was a good race up until that point.
I will ask you, mate, how close were you to a penalty? Did you have warnings in the bank already, or is it quite a quiet one for you in terms of the track limits?
I only got one warning, trying to avoid or just give Cot some space around the outside of me at turn 2. So yeah, I was fine all race, just kept it chill. I didn't push too much, which I think probably backfired in the end. I just was nowhere on the pace that I probably should have been today. Yeah, just one of those things.
I mean, still, I'd say given how grueling this race was, a second podium of the season, not a second podium in a row, sorry, is nothing to be too upset about. Of course, Vegas next week, is that a circuit we're looking at to perhaps make it three in a row?
We'll see. I think it could be almost similar to Singapore, and there's a bit of chaos. Obviously, the walls are tight, very fast, heavy braking, so there could be a lot of stuff happening. Like Tenth alluded to, it's the gambling capital of the world or something, so maybe gamble onto a set of tyres at the right time under a safety car if one comes out and see how it goes.
I mean, it's been a chaotic race there in the past, so I'll have to wait and see what the game plan is for the entertainment capital next week. But obviously, good job on the podium, a second one in a row for you, and perhaps next week could be P1 again. You never know.
Yeah, thank you.
All good. And we'll come now, third of all, to Red J. I think, Red J, you did say to me last week, in fairness, that Mexico was not a track you were looking forward to, and I do now see that you were. That I think you may have been correct on that. But yeah, just talk me through the race.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Not much to say, to be honest. Very difficult. Qualifying was interesting. It was fun to be on the wets. But yeah, the race itself, yeah, quite boring, just at the back. But you know, that's just the way it is. So yeah, it's over now, which is good. I was quite happy that I didn't get too many track pens, which was obviously good as well. But in terms of the actual pace and stuff, yeah, not great. You know, so running out of races now to score a point. I look back at China now, and I look back at the. I think I was penalised for something I did in quali. I think when I skipped past like half the runoff areas to just make the line to start another lap in China. That resulted in me getting a time penalty from that race in China when I think I scored a P10. And I look back now, and boy, do I regret that decision, because I don't know how many races are left now. Is it 4?
4, yes.
4?
Yeah, 4.
4 races, yeah. So maybe I'm pinning all my hopes on the final race of the season. So yeah, it's a shame, but you know, you kind of. As the race was going on, and you just kind of, you know, sat there at the back, what's kind of going through your mind is, for me, there was 2 things. Initially, it's you hope there's going to be a safety car, and that can change the race completely. I don't get why some drivers, you know, just leave halfway through a race. I think you've always got to try and just, you know, stick it out and try and believe that, you know, something can happen. That can just completely change the race, because it's definitely happened before. And then you get further on into the race and you start losing more hope. But then I think I remember looking at like lap 54 or something like that, and I was thinking to myself, you know, you just got to, you know, you've done 54 of the 71 laps. You'd be, you know, it would be a waste of time just to stop now. So yeah, at least I made it to the end.
Fair enough. Honestly, I'd say with his 100% races, that is definitely a key. It's one of the things I think you wouldn't normally, I think people would normally credit themselves for in a half-length race, but the full-length ones are tough, and this one was particularly difficult, I think, for everyone. So fair play to you on making the flag, and obviously Brazil will be the next one of those to cap off the season, as you said. If there was, say, we're sort of pitting all hopes on the Brazil race, but in terms of Vegas next week, is there a chance there? Because I know you guys at Mercedes, you and Obsessed are right around Vegas. Obsessed particularly got pace there from Q3 last year. That's my memory.
Yeah, I don't think I've got pace around there. Not looking forward to it. Trying to think of a gambling pun because 10th and Dan have already given a few. Hopefully, me and Obsessed will hit the slots, and potentially for Obsessed it might come up with dollar. But yeah, no. I really fancy Obsessed to do well. Last season, I don't think he'd. And I'm sure he'll correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think he'd made even a Q2 appearance before coming to Vegas, and then he qualified like P6 or something. And if I remember correctly, he actually messed up that lap as well. He was on target for a front row, I think. So hopefully, he can come in with another good result. I don't know where he finished today. I know he was close to the points.
Yeah, it was.
Was it 11th?
Around that, but there was a fair bit of penalties in the way as well, so I had to discuss that.
Okay, but no, obviously the pace has really been there of Obsessed. He's done a really good job this season. Especially of late, I think he can, look back and be really proud with the progress that he's made. And obviously for myself, I don't know what next season will look like when we move into the new game, whether I will be on the grid or not. I'm not too sure. I haven't made up my mind yet. But if I can, try and get a point score and finish within these remaining races, that would be great.
Yeah, I think I speak for everyone in the server when I say we'd hate to lose you both, obviously, in the racing and obviously when you come in here each week. So I always appreciate what you've got to say about everything that goes on the track. So obviously appreciate your opinion on what goes down, just how your race runs in general. I always look forward to hearing you speak about it. But hopefully pace will be a bit stronger next week, and we'll see whereabouts you guys and Mercedes stack up. We'll come now to Obsessed last of all. Obsessed, can you give us the exact number of penalties you had towards the end of that race? Because I think the number I saw was 24 seconds. Am I mistaken on that?
Yeah, I think there was 24. I might have had 25 or 26 warnings though. So
okay.
yeah, definitely up there.
Yeah, but I mean, aside from that, the pace was all right. You were up there running with the cars who were sort of fighting for points for the majority of the Grand Prix. So I'd say aside from the track limits, that race really wasn't anything to be I'd say too disappointed about if it was me.
Yeah, I think qualifying could have gone a little better. Obviously, the rain, it kind of threw a wrench in the plan, but I think it went okay. But the race overall, I don't think it was bad. I think there were a couple instances where I just kind of lost my pace for a second or two, and then obviously lost time, and then had to catch back up. So definitely not a bad race overall, just not my best.
Fair enough. I think they said in terms of next week in Vegas, I'd say we put in all of our money into one bet and looking for a good performance there, because obviously last season, as we've alluded to already, was a bombshell, I think, for everyone.
We'll see how Vegas is gonna go. I know last season I just practiced a ton. Like I probably put in like 30 hours that week, just learning the track and everything. And I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do that again this season. But we'll see. We'll hope for a good result. Hopefully we'll make Q3 again. It was nice to make Q3 last season. I'd made Q2 a couple of times before that, I think. So first Q3 appearance at a home race is always nice.
I think I absolutely have to agree with you there. But yeah, obviously, solid job from the pair. You obviously making the flag. Obviously, Obsessed, good job on obviously was getting to the points. Pace was there for you. Yeah, that more or less cap us off for interviews. Has anyone got a word of the race at all? I've been slacking with the last few weeks, but I'm gonna try and do one at the end of the season.
Abysmal.
I can't. I think Obsessed, you've got to in these next few seconds think of a pun. Everyone else for Vegas, I think of a slogan or something like that. Yeah, you're putting it all on red or all on black.
I'll tell you guys put it all on silver, given you the silver arrows.
Yeah, that's true.
That's certainly what I'm doing. So you boys better not let me down next week. That's all I'll say to you. All right.
All right.
All right. And with that,
absolutely.
And with that mild threat, we'll cap off the coverage of the RDL Season 18 Round 20. Congratulations then to Salve Grumio, at least provisionally, on a 9th Drivers' Championship. Half the seasons have been contested, have been won by that same driver, so fantastic form for the last few years. And that'll cap us off for coverage here. Hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more future audio content. Absolutely fantastic evening, and we'll see you guys soon. Goodbye.